Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Let me just fix the lighting here a little bit. There it is. Thank God it has begun to rain in Israel. We've been waiting for the rain for a long time. And I almost started to believe in global warming myself because it was really warm the last few days. But today it's not warm. It's not warm. The sort of heat wave broke and there is rain. So we need the rain. The rain is a big blessing. The Rebbe is going to talk about rain in just a moment. How rain really comes from the earth. It doesn't come from the heavens. There has to be an evaporation. First of all, let us give charity. Let us give from what God gave us. Let's give back. Here we go. Charity. Charity box. Charity. Hand. Okay. And let us give thanks to the creator of the universe, who is creating us and enlivening us and providing for us and helping us. Melech Ozer, Moshiach, again, and he saves us. Now let's continue learning. What we're learning over here, this is the last speech that the Lubavitcher Rebbe gave to all of his emissaries. It's I think it's right before 1992, the end of 1991. And all of the emissaries from all over the world, those, I don't know, 1,000 people. Now there's like 5 times as much that were there. And the Rebbe spoke to all of them. And he was saying to them that you are emissaries for a job. You have been chosen for a job, not to make Chabad big or to, be successful in increasing the ranks of our movement. Even though that's not a bad idea, but that's not the reason we're here for. Or to have big buildings, or to get your name in the paper, or things like these are all good. These are not bad things. To have big buildings and give your name in the paper, to be famous, to be rich. Those are not bad things. But those are only byproducts to the goal. What's the goal? We have to keep our mind all the time, and all of our mind all the time on the goal. What is the goal? It says the Rebbe, the goal is to bring Moshiach. And that is the goal of Judaism. That's the goal of all mankind, is to bring Mashiach and to do everything we can to bring Mashiach. Mashiach is going to be a person just like King David, just like Moses. Mashiach will be Ben David. He'll be a king and he'll be a teacher. A king means he'll teach people to be totally surrendered to the Creator, like the king is. And teacher means he'll teach everyone to use their heads, so to speak. The king teaches everyone to surrender their heads and minds, their brain and mind, to God, who's sending, or to Moses. That's the king part, and the Moses, the teacher, teaches everyone to be an individual. Use your mind, use your brain. That's what the Torah was given. So both of these things together, that's what the Mashiach is going to do, but he's going to do it to the whole world. So the whole world will be totally devoted only to what the Creator wants. And that will enhance and increase and reveal the true uniqueness of every human being in the world. How every human being is different from every other human being, and they're all unique. Everyone has some sort of a special quality that no one else has and that everyone else needs. On the other hand, everyone also needs all the other qualities of everybody else. That's Mashiach. So that's our job. That's our job in Chabad. And the way we do it especially is by learning Torah, teaching Torah, doing the commandments, but especially by means of Chassidut, teaching the teachings of Chassidut, which the teachings of Chassidut open the mind and the heart to exactly this idea of waiting impatiently for Moshe and David, the Mashiach, to come and to teach us how to be an individual, and to teach us also how to surrender ourselves totally to the Creator. So this is the Shayach relevant to the Kenes HaShluchim, the Shluchim convention every year. That's every year. When did it start off the Shluchim convention? I don't know. Like I think you'll have to look and see. In the 80s, I think, the early 80s it started. And Nitvosef is added on the novelty, and this year especially the Kesher Shalavot and like Moses said, Shalach Nabi Shalach, send whoever you want to the Shlichus of the Mashiach. This year especially is a special emphasis on Mashiach. Dover always said before that the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, that he is the leader of our generation, and the Rebbe is going to say he's the Mashiach of our generation. He said we've already finished all of the work we had to do. We did this yesterday, but I'm just going over it. Everything we have to do. All we have to that's remaining for us to do now is to be ready, to be prepared to accept the face of Mashiach. Kafisha Royim Zos, like we see, like I said many times in this, that the events which are occurring in the world, and we see many signs already that the redemption is coming. This was after Saddam Hussein shot 39 missiles at Israel, and he destroyed big buildings and apartment buildings, and nobody was hurt. No one was hurt from these missiles. And this is also after Gorbachev dissolved the Iron Curtain. All of a sudden, everybody could go out and come in Israel. So we saw big miracles, especially, like it says, Yalkut Shimon, it says, Yigia Zman Gulatchem, says that another thing, even after all this, that all the nations are threatening one the other, and especially all the nations of the Arabs. When Saddam Hussein stood up and he started shooting missiles, he made war against all the other Arab nations. He was basically a threat to the whole world. He took it out on Kuwait and on Israel first, but which that was very strange, why he did that. But in any case, he basically made war against everybody. And he really thought that he could have won. I don't know. I'm not a strategist. In any case, so all of the Arab nations were threatening one the other, and they were threatening also America, but and especially the Arab nations. It says we see that there was a peace meeting between Israel and the other nations, and etc. The Arab nations, and we saw that it was totally a fake, like all the other peace initiatives that are made, where they make these promises with Israel. Okay, Kavarnit Kayim, but nevertheless, we've already seen last year, says the Rebbe, was Tafshin Nun Aleph. That was last year. Our year is Tafshin Pei Vav, which we'll see is basically the same initials. It says Teishanat Niflot Ereno. I will show you miracles. And in addition, in this year, it even continues. It says the Niflot Bo, Tafshin Nun Beit. There are miracles in it. And we can add on this year is Tafshin Pei Vav, which will be a year Tafsh Tiyeh Shanat Pilaot. Pilaot is the same thing as Niflot. Pilaot, Pei, and Vav, and we can make up anything you want. Ve'od, and more. In any case, we've had all the signs, we've had all the initials, we've had all the hints, we've had all of this. Now says the Rebbe, but nevertheless, these things are nice to show that we're at least something is about to happen. For sure, Mashiach is going to come. That's for sure. Maimonides points it out. The Torah points it out. Mashiach is supposed to come. And for sure, the world has not defined the Mashiach properly. For sure, the definition of Mashiach, which is used by the Christians and everything, is totally wrong. It's totally wrong. So we're waiting for something that has not yet occurred, even a little bit. Well, I mean, actually, maybe a little bit it has, because the Maimonides says that these other religions, at least they spread out the idea that there is such a thing as Mashiach, and that it comes from the Torah. It's a Torah idea. In any case, we see actually how that the Mashiach is fighting the battles of God. Like we say that the Rebbe stresses over and over that the previous Rebbe, he was Mashiach, and we see that because of his efforts and self-sacrifice in Russia, that the Iron Curtain fell. There was no bigger enemy, open enemy to Judaism than communism. Communism was like the open enemy to Judaism. That was the biggest. I don't know, maybe you can say Zionism. Could be. Is an open enemy to Judaism. But the communism, they killed people. They actively was a goal to actually kill people and actually, stop uh, any Jewish observance. And Zionism wasn't like so openly an enemy. It was insidious. It was trying to change the definition of a Jew to be a nationality, So it like came from more the inside. It was not so clear who the enemy is, right? And Zionism professes to be a friend of the Jewish people. Communism certainly did not. Certainly did not. In any case, the Rebbe said we see that there are many miracles and that there are many victories and that we're fighting a big battle here and that we are succeeding. And the war now is a war of peace. Now, education, especially if you look now in Israel, what's going on since this October 7th thing, the attitude toward the people in Israel is definitely massively changing toward Judaism. Maybe not toward the religious Jews. I mean, the religious Jews have, but it's changing regarding, Chabad especially, and religious Jews serving in the army, right? So it's instead of making used to be that the army would make the religious Jews non-religious. It was designed for that, to put the girls together with the men. So, but now it's having the opposite effect. The religious Jews are making the army more Jewish, not more religious, more Jewish. People are putting on tefillin and putting on tzitzit and keeping Shabbat, not because of the religion, because they're Jews. Just because God exists and we're Jews, and a Jew puts on tefillin, a Jew keeps Shabbat. And no one yells at anybody else, why don't you keep Shabbat? Why don't you? It's coming from the inside of everybody. It's very interesting what's going on. In any case, says the Rebbe, we see that the Moshiach is becoming victorious. Netzach is the revelation of the 50th Ket Nun is 50. Tzaddik is the 50th year. That's the age of the Rebbe when he was saying the speech. And Chet is the number 8. That's the revelation of Mashiach, that he's connected to the number 8. It's one of the 8 anointed men. It's a Gemara in Sukkah. So from this it's understood that the shluchim are already standing a long time after the beginning, Mila, doing the beginning of their service and spreading out Torah and spreading out the ideas of Chassidut. So now we're even after the middle of our service. The previous Rebbe said we've already finished it. The world is ready to be transformed. Nevertheless, we see that actually the Mashiach has not come, and there's a lot of trouble in the world. There's a lot of confusion. So it's almost like saying to the Rebbe, "What are you talking about? What are you talking?" I always liken it to, let's say, a person that has a terrible automobile accident, God forbid, and they make a big operation, and the doctors come out of the operating room and say the operation has been a success, and your father is going to be okay. Can we see him? Yes, you can, but you can't go into the room because it's a recovery room, and you can look through this window. So look through the window, and there's Daddy laying totally unconscious, with tubes in every possible aperture in his body, and injections and things going on. And everybody looks and they start crying, Daddy. I say, take him out, get these people out of here quick. So listen, the doctor says, listen, you got to trust me what I'm saying. It looks bad. It looks like there's been no change, but I'm telling you, he's totally healthy. He's going to come out out of the anesthetic, and he's going to wake up, and everything is going to be, all of his limbs are going to work, all of his this. You're right, but he's bandaged up. He does that. It's the same thing with the world. We've been working to change everything, and it's worked. The world is healthy. It's just waiting, right? But if you look at the world, it doesn't look so good. It doesn't look so good. Once in a while, there's a sign something is happening. Says the Rebbe, this is the sign. I'm telling you, it's okay. Like we said before, every generation there's always born someone who's fitting to be Mashiach. And he's fitting in his righteousness that he can be the one that redeems the world. That's the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. He is the Shliach. He is the emissary of our generation. He's the Mashiach of our generation, that we've already finished everything we had to do. And now we've gotten to the point where we have fulfilled what Moses requested at the burning bush. Shalach Only that is lacking is just to accept Mashiach. We have to be ready. Now, it's not the same thing as like being ready. Everyone's sitting in the audience. They're waiting for the curtain to come up, and for the orchestra to start playing music or something like that. That's different. There, you're waiting, and you have to be quiet. You have to be quiet, and you're sitting and waiting. And when is the curtain going to come up? Right? You're waiting, and you have to be quiet. You have to not make the lights go out. But here it's not that way. Here you have to be dynamic. Mashiach is going to come and activate everybody. Mashiach is going to activate everyone. He's going to remove all of the impediments for action, all of the how do you say, the obsessions and I'm sorry, the aggression, all the things that take away people's how to say, for some reason words are just coming from my mind. That stop people from being individuals. He's going to remove everything, all the addictions and all of this. We talked about that last time we were here. So he's going to make the world more active, more positive. Says this is especially in this week's Torah portion, Chayei Sorah, that we're reading about how Eliezer was sent by Abraham to bring a marriage to find a mate for Yitzchak. That this gives power when we read it this week's Torah portion about the first shliach, the first emissary. This gives us power to do, because the Torah is giving us life. That gives us power that we can also do our mission, and that is to bring the Mashiach and the mission which we are sent to do by the Mashiach. The previous Rebbe is the Mashiach, and the Rebbe is filling his place. The Nosaf, in addition to this is the Shabbat Mavorch, and this Shabbos is the last Shabbat in this month that we're in now, Cheshvan, and it's blessing the next month of Kislev. Kislev is the month of redemption. It's the month that the first Rebbe of Chabad got out of prison. He was put into prison by his enemies and turned over to the Tsar on false pretenses, and miraculously he got out. This is the third of the winter months. And the third of the summer months is when we receive the Torah. That's on Mount Sinai in Sivan. And the third of the winter months, that's when we receive the inside of the Torah, the Panemius Torah, the inside of the Torah. That's Yud Tet Kislev. That's the idea of rain. These are the months in Israel. The winter months are the months of rain. It's not like in America where there can rain in the middle of the summer. I think pretty much anywhere else in the world. I mean, I'm not an expert. I think everywhere in the world it rains once in a while in the summer. In Israel, it never rains in the summer. No such thing. Never rains in the summer. The winter is called the rain months. Yemei Geshamim. What is this idea of rain? Rain is attached especially to the Mashiach. Why? Because rain comes from below to above. It says in the Torah that the reason that there was no rain in the world in the beginning, because there was no evaporation. And the reason there was no evaporation was because there was no man, before man was created, was because there was no man to pray for rain. Everything grew up naturally. And man was going to start to work on the ground. He needed rain. So as soon as man prayed from below to above, man prayed from below to above. So that brought about evaporation of the water that was already in the world. There was already water in the world, right? So the water evaporated from below to above. From the earth, that's the level of ban. If you remember, that corresponds to Rivka from the world, the soul in a body, physical body, that from the physical mundane world there becomes a mist and evaporation. And that's like from mineral becomes more spiritual, yasara avir, fine, refined. And it goes up above until it comes to the highest, like it says right in the beginning of the creation, Ruach Elokim Rachefes al Panei Hamayim, like it says right in the first day, before the first day of in the first day of creation, it says that the Spirit of God was hovering over the water, and in the Midrash it says this is the Spirit of the Mashiach. So the Spirit of the Mashiach was hovering. That's this mist. The mist refers to the mist of rain. The cover says, how is it going to be? Because the previous Rebbe is going to come back to life, and he is going to be the Mashiach. Just like, how does it work? A person is in the world, a physical person, and then the person dies. Everybody dies. And we're sure that there's going to be the raising of the dead. That's one of the 13 basic principles of Jewish faith. It's the 13th, it's the last one, that everyone is going to come back to life. Not everyone. Okay, let's say everyone's going to come back to life. Kol Yisrael Yesh Lam Chelik Olam Haba means the raising of the dead. Everybody. But the raising of the dead means that they're going to be alive, then they're going to go up, they're going to die, and then they're going to come back down again. So that's the same thing as rain. Rain goes from, it starts in the world, it's in water is in the world, then it evaporates, goes up, then it comes back down again in the world. And that is similar to Mashiach. That is similar to the whole idea of Mashiach. Mashiach is going to be a person in the world, then the soul is going to go up and it's going to come back down into the world. A lot of people say this, right? Could this idea, like every other idea, can be misunderstood and can be twisted, but nevertheless, that's the idea. It says the Rebbe, the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, he's going to come be manifested in the world and reveal. Essentially, the raising of the dead is to show that people never really died. Never really died. There was a separation of the body and the soul. And we're assured that the body is even more infinite than the soul is. And so the souls are going to come into the body. However it's going to be for sure. Mashiach is certainly going to come. From this comes the teaching that we can learn from this week's Torah portion, and especially in the Kenes HaShluchim, the Shluchim. First of all, we have to go make an announcement to all of the Shluchim that the service of Shlichus now of each and every Jew is in this only one thing to accept, to receive the face of the Mashiach. We have to wait for Mashiach. We have to ask for Mashiach. We have to do everything we can in order to bring Mashiach, to prepare others for Mashiach. Kolomar, in other words, call a pratim, all of these details in the service of Shlichus, of spreading Torah and Judaism, the well springs outward. It has to be permeated with one detail, how this can bring to receiving the Mashiach. Like it's stressed in this whole idea of the Kenes HaShluchim. What is it? Call Yamei Chayecha Lavi Lemilot Mashiach. All of the days of your life you have to try to bring to the days of Mashiach. Everything you do. It's a Mishnah in what is it, in Brachot. 1 minute. Everything that you do in Judaism, and everything you do in your mundane life, every day itself and every detail of every day, that has to be permeated to bring to the days of the Mashiach. Not just to include the days of the Mashiach. It says, Kol Yamei Chayecha Lavi. It says you have to all of the days of your life you have to bring to the days of Mashiach. It's in Brachos. It says, Kol Yamei Chayecha. It says, oh, you have to serve God all of the days of your life. What does it mean, all of the days of your life? So it says this comes to include, it says, serving God, you have to serve God not just all the days of your life. Some people say even in the nighttime you have to say Shema Yisrael. Even in the nighttime, this includes also even in the days of the Mashiach, we're going to have to serve God. But it can be interpreted, lahavi means to bring to, not just that you should say the Shema, whatever, or serve God all of the days of your life. Call Yomei Chayecha, the word all the days comes to include also in the days of the Mashiach. No, it says you have to do it and to bring. What we're doing is actively bringing the days of the Mashiach. You have to do everything you can in order to actually do your part to contribute to bringing Mashiach. It depends on us to make Mashiach come sooner. And when Mashiach comes, then there will be world peace, there will be world prosperity, and then human beings will really be human beings. We'll see what it really was that God created and what God is creating. Lolach, not just at the beginning of one day, but all of the days of your life, the days of the Mashiach, not just when the Mashiach is supposed to be Mashiach, but also the days of the Mashiach, even when Mashiach certainly comes, that you have to do everything you can to complete this whole idea that we're working for, we're talking about. The intention simply is that from the Kinnas HaShluchim, from this Shluchim convention, you have to come and to bring about resolutions, good resolutions, how every Mashiach can prepare himself and to prepare all the Jewish people where he is in his city to bring to Mashiach. By means of what? That he explains, one second, where is this? That he explains to others, very good, there you go, thank you. This has been terrorizing me, this particular mosquito, and now I've just put an end to his reign of terror. Every shliach should look into it, should make resolutions, how he can actually prepare himself and to prepare all of the Jewish people, wherever he is, in his city, in his place, to receive Mashiach. By means of explaining what is Mashiach, how the Mashiach is found in the written Torah, how Mashiach is found in the oral Torah and the Talmud, in a way that it will be accepted by each and every person. In other words, wherever place you are, your crowd where you are more intellectual, so explain it intellectually. They're more emotional. You explain it by music, by example, by charity, by big meetings, by personal meetings, meeting with people individually, meeting in small groups, big groups, everything that you can to bring people to, at least to start asking questions about Mashiach and what is Mashiach, especially by means of learning the ideas of Mashiach, the way that it brings it into your day-to-day life. Because this is the only service, so every single Jew is relevant to this. This is speaking to every Jew. Every Jew is a shliach, says the Rebbe. I'm not just speaking to my people that are here. I'm not just speaking to my group of Chabadniks. I'm speaking to every single Jew in the world. Every single Jew in the world, whether he hears this, whether he doesn't hear it, you are all shluchim. The Torah and the message of Eliezer is not just there for Chabad. It's there for every Jew. It's not just for religious Jews. It's for every single Jew in the world. The Torah was given to the Jewish people that we should learn from every example. Here we have the biggest example possibly there is in the Torah, is that Eliezer was made an emissary. And the emissary is to unite between Yitzchak, which represents God, and Rivka, which represents the world. And through it, the Jewish people, by Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov. But the main thing was there was made an emissary, says the Rebbe, and there's tremendous detail and space in the Torah, paragraph after paragraph, what exactly this emissary did and what he saw and what he thought and what he meant and what he could. And then afterwards, he repeats the story over and over again to tell us that this is relevant to us. Yehi Ratzon, that we are all shluchim, we are emissaries to do everything we can to bring Mashiach. You don't know what that means? Learn. Here we have in the Chabad. This is what we've spoken about now. This should activate everyone. We're trying to benefit the world. Listen, there's all these different types of government. I saw Viktor Frankl. I'm a very big fan of Professor Viktor Frankl. He wrote one book. I read like 8-9 books of his. They're in English. If somebody knows of more, I would appreciate it because this is the books that I got. Anyway, so he writes that once he gave a speech at the Karl Marx University in Vienna, and they asked him, "What do you think the best form of government is?" Which is a loaded question because obviously, if it's Karl Marx University, they think that somehow or other communism is the best system. which is pretty amazing. I mean, because communism has never succeeded anywhere. It's just a tremendous failure everywhere. I've never seen anything like it. But nevertheless, people do it. Anyway, that's a problem for the psychiatrists or something. Anyway, so they asked him this question. So he said, and I think this is very, very deep. It's basically the same thing that the previous Rebbe said. And when someone asked him which system of government is better, and they said all of the systems of government, all of the philosophies and the different ideas, they're basically have the same goal, to improve mankind. That's what they want to do. In other words, everyone senses that there must be some way to improve mankind, to alleviate all of the pain and suffering and confusion and famine and disease and war. There must be some way to put an end to it. That the world will be a good way. Everyone has it in their mind. There must be some way that this can be done. You want to call it the organized society. It could be that in Africa or places like that where people never ask any questions, maybe, and now it might be different, but anyway, totally, what do you say, savage, tribes, maybe the American Indians or whatever, they never thought, how can we make world peace? Everyone was thinking about themselves. But as far as I know, any government or what community that they've been exposed to the Torah in any way, they know, they said that could be the secret to the whole thing, the Torah. As soon as they've been exposed to the Torah, they sense that there's some way to bring about world peace. World peace. Everybody wants it. Everybody knows that it's possible, but no one to date has succeeded in any way at even proposing something which might change the world. So the answer, of course, is that you have to change human nature. How are you going to change human nature? Right? To make everybody believe in the same thing? No, to make everybody realize who they are, that they're being created by God, and to connect to the God who's creating them. Simple. It's not outside of you. It's korov elecha davar mo. That's the motto of the Tanya. It's very close to you. God is creating everyone. He's creating everyone with a feeling that there is a way to bring total peace to the world. There are absolute values. And that's what Moshiach is going to do. Moshiach is just going to wake up the true identity of every person from within. So we have to desperately do everything we can. Moshiach is going to be a person, a human being, a Jew from the tribe of King David. He's going to learn the Torah, do the Torah, like everything that Maimonides says. Read at the book, at the end of the book. So we have to do everything we can, says the Rebbe, that we can actually facilitate and to speed up his arrival. Huh? Sounds pretty good to me. That should motivate people. May it be God's will, that every shliach should fulfill, that every emissary of mine, says the Rebbe, should do his job and use all the 10 powers of his soul. And like we said, shliach with 10 is the numerical value of Mashiach. And especially that all of the shluchim should unite together and they should bring immediately the main shliach, who is going to be the true shliach, who is going to be the Mashiach. That's what we said. Shalach no b'alati shalach. That's what Moses requested at the burning bush. God, don't just send me, send Mashiach. Who is the Mashiach of our generation? The Mashiach, a shliach shebedorenu, the emissary of our generation, is the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. And like it was in the generation before us, that the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe united with his father, that he was the only son of his father, in order that there could be the 7 branches of the menorah. That's why Chabad started this idea of Chassidut, that it was possible to think about Mashiach and think about God all day. The Od V'Yikra, and the main thing is, since we've already finished all of our service, like the Rebbe said, and so now each and every one of the emissaries of every single Jew can come to the real, how do you say, Mishaleach, Who is sending all of these people? So the previous Rebbe, he's sending everyone. He's like the Mashiach of our generation. He says, no, 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 no. The Mashiach himself, the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe and the Rebbe himself, they are only emissaries themselves. Who is sending everyone? God. Since everything is already finished, so we should all turn our attention to God and say, Asiti et shlichoti, I've done what you've requested. Now it's the time that you, God, should react. Do what you promised. Shagam Kodesh Baruch Hu, God, so to speak, is also an emissary. What does it mean? Magi Davarav Yaakov, that God gave over his words to Jacob. Together with, in other words, now we have the Torah, so to speak. We have the Torah, which is pure God. God gave himself. And the Torah now is the emissary to, namely, the essence of God himself, so to speak. Who Mashiach Tzidkenu is the Mashiach, Shalach no biyad tishalach, that the Mashiach, because the Mashiach is going to be the emissary of God, and an emissary of someone is like that person himself. He's the proxy of that person. So there's a Shalach no Mashiach, send the Mashiach actually Mashiach. So we don't have to talk about it and try to understand it and try to make all sorts of hints and even that's also another thing. Moses came, and the people weren't ready for Moses. They weren't really requesting Moses to come and take them out. But he did take them out. And as a result, because the people didn't really want Moses, in fact, 4/5 of the Jews didn't leave Egypt. They remained in Egypt. It says, Chamushim yatzu me'eretz Yisrael. Only 1/5 left. And when they left, they wanted to go back all the time. They were always making troubles. Why? Because the people didn't really attune themselves to what Mashiach is supposed to do. That everyone will want to do what God wants. But so therefore, Moses took the Jewish people out of Egypt, even though the Jewish people didn't really want it. And because of that, it wasn't a complete redemption. The Jewish people really didn't get the point. They were always rebelling against Moses. Our generation won't be like that. Our generation, says the Rebbe, is that we have to desire Mashiach. Said the Rebbe, it's already done. We already are desiring. We just have to do a little bit more. A little bit more. Mashiach is already here. The redemption is just waiting. That God wants to strengthen the Jewish people a little bit. Not the strength. To hold the Jewish people back, to delay the Jewish people one more moment in order that God will get pleasure from the service of the Jewish people in the exile. That we'll have faith. And a Jew will scream out, everything that if you're a guest by someone, you have to do everything that the host says, except leave. To be quiet, to sit in the corner, whatever. But to leave, you don't have to do. The same thing, everything that God, that's God, says we have to do, except for go out. What does it mean, leave? Leave means that we should abandon the idea of Mashiach. That we should, because Mashiach is going to make everyone close to God. So if God tells us to leave, forget about Mashiach, don't do it. We have to demand from God. Shalach, no, bayati shalach. Send the Mashiach. Send the Mashiach in this beginning of this year. Right now. We've already had the to redemption. Bring Mashiach immediately. Together with the completion of the service of the Shlichus, that we finished all the work, immediately there will be the consummation of the wedding of God and the Jewish people. The wedding, the engagement occurred at Mount Sinai. Engagement occurred at Mount Sinai. And we have been waiting for 3,000, whatever is 300 years, and 300, what is it, 30 years, something 38 years. We've been waiting for the finishing of the wedding, that God should consummate the marriage. It's a long time to wait. That was the song that King Solomon sang, Shir HaShirim, is talking about the wedding, the engagement, the marriage, and the consummation of God and the Jewish people. But we have to accept it, just like the bride has to accept the groom. We have to accept all of these good resolutions that we made, that we learn this, what we say, Torah or and Lakuti Torah. That's why we learn in the morning, Torah or and Lakuti Torah, until the end. But by means of learning the Torah and these matters, as we speed up even more, we hasten even more what to manifest what is written in these books, until the way that God says, and that God will be revealed. But nekeva soveves gever, so to speak, we Jewish people will be higher than God. Huh? God Himself will admit, He'll announce to the Jewish people, to every single Jew, and to all of the Jews, thank you. He'll say, thank you for your service. Even if it wasn't so total, a little tiny bit, you put on tefillin once in your life, God will say, thank you. I appreciate it. God gets pleasure from what we do. Nachat ruach shamarti v'nasa ritzoni. Tanu oz le'elokim. And by means of this, we reveal Mashiach in the world even more. And we reveal the Mashiach, which is inside of every Jew, even more. Therefore, the Mashiach will have the ability, together with all the Jewish people, to please God in such a way that God will bring all of the Jews to the Holy Land. First of all, to build the base of the Holy Temple. He'll bring all of the Jews to the land of Israel, to Jerusalem, the Holy Land, to Jerusalem, the Holy City, to the mountain where the temple is found, is the Har HaKodesh, Holy Mountain, to the Holy House. That's the third temple, is a Holy House, Beit HaMikdash. It's not called a temple. It's called the Holy House, Beit HaMikdash, to the third temple, and this is the main thing, that it should happen immediately, right now, immediately, and it can, and it should, and it must occur immediately in Mashiach now. So we just have to do everything we can in order to change the world, even if it's just to change our attitude. But Mashiach has to come immediately and save the world from confusion, save the world from lack of identity, that suddenly we'll be happy with who we really are. Holy creations of the creator of the universe, every human being in the world. Okay, have a good day. Well, no. Now we're going to do the Yom Yom. Yom Yom.